Welcome to the CoFounders podcast. Real-life stories from startups to billion-dollar iconic brands. Conversations with industry disruptors and inspiring leaders. Brought to you in part by WeWork, the world's largest network of co-working spaces. More info at WeWork.com. And the Pro Business Channel, uploading the future. More info at ProBusinessChannel.com. Now let's join our host and guests on this episode of the CoFounders podcast.
All right, Rich Casanova here. We are ready for another exciting episode of the Co-Founders and Co-Founders and
Startups.
Thank you.
Yes,
Michael Moore is here. Thank goodness for Michael Moore. So, and I'll blame it on the show ingredients for that.
Come on now, come on. You can't start out doing that. Don't throw them under the bus yet. Come on now.
You haven't had a bite yet.
Yeah.
I'll blame it later. Yeah.
That bite part sounds like a lot of fun coming up.
I'm telling you. So it's the Co-Founders and Startup podcast. Rich Casanova here alongside Michael Moore.
That's it. We're ready. We're ready to talk about some fun stuff today. This will get you in trouble or get you out of trouble. One of the two.
I know. I can't wait for this one here. All right. So let's jump right into it. So we have a guest here joining us. Swan Simpson reached out to us a while back, and we were kind of playing ping pong there for a minute. And now he's finally in the studio. We're going to be talking about today. You're a women-owned CBD oil producer, manufacturer of infused eats, and a startup based here in Atlanta, right around the corner from us, right in Buckhead.
Absolutely.
Right? And I understand you're at a collaborative space there, an incubator as well?
Yes, we are.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the podcast. And so before we jump into this, let's give out your website right at the top of the show here. So how would people find you online?
www.canna, C-A-N-N-A, Bistro, B-I-S-T-R-O, Atlanta, ATLANTA.com.
Which is an interesting mix, adding the element of bistro, right? So we're going to talk about that. So for our listeners, we're going to do a deep dive on what is CBD oil, what it's not, the organic ingredients, some of the amazing health benefits that people are experiencing, right?
Right.
We're going to talk about this misnomer about the THC effect. Right, then your brownies, you have lemonade, you have tonics, cocktails. We're going to dive into all of those special ingredients you have going on there, and we're going to talk about. We mentioned the incubator. You're also based outside of Atlanta. We're going to talk about that, and also about the university that you're establishing, private dining. Oh man, it's a lot of things to cover, a lot of ground. Yeah, right. Okay, so first of all, as we mentioned, it's a family business on a mission to heal the world, introducing to our city and beyond a better way of eating and incorporating this miraculous CBD oil into our daily lives. You're a self-trained vegetarian, vegan chef. So in addition to that, you wear a few hats and a few jackets and coats, right?
Absolutely.
You've spent more than 30 years, believe it or not, perfecting this whole foods-based principles and recipes for formulations. This was a new launch for this venture, mid-2018, June of 2018. Right. All right. You created this superfoods menu, which is fascinating. The idea of casual smoothies, tonics, which is so trending right now. I mean, everybody's a little bit jealous that you're early adopter into this. Actually, our engineer Foster and I were talking about this before the show. We need to talk off air. How do we get invested in this, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right? So as we mentioned, the menu. So now let's jump into CBD oil. What does that stand for, first of all? And how would you best describe it to people who are not familiar with this?
Well, the best way to describe it is CBD, which stands for cannabidiol. And depends on what part of the country you're from, you may pronounce it differently. Right. But cannabidiol is how it's pronounced. And that is the healing component of the ergo cannabis, also known as the marijuana plant.
Okay.
You have two sides of that plant, the healing side and the high side. People are familiar with the high side with THC, but they're not as familiar with CBD because you can separate the two and completely eliminate all of the high stuff and retain all of the healthy stuff. And that's what we do.
And what's the history of this? I mean, when and whence did this come about, this idea to separate?
Well, nearly 25 years ago, over in Israel, about 3 research scientists separated out CBD from the cannabis plant.
Right.
And determined all of its healing principles that we have learned so far. That's been happening for the past 25 years. in Israel, and the U.S. is still trying to catch up with that.
Things sometimes just take time. Sometimes they just right out of the gates, the fire gets lit. Sometimes it's a incubator process,
Yes.
right? I mean, much like podcasting, the technology's been around for a decade or two or more, maybe more, the idea of audio,
Right.
but now it's just become the new radio,
Absolutely.
right? So talk to us about hemp. Where does that come in the mix?
Well,
Is
it's
it
all
interchangeable with?
Yes, it is. It's all about politics. You call it hemp in one circle.
All right.
You call it cannabis in another circle, and you call it marijuana in a third circle. And it all comes from the same exact plant. It's different moving parts of the same exact plant.
And you just call it all good, right?
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay, so so what is CBD oil not? I guess it's the misperception, right?
Well, it is, first of all, it depends on how it is extracted.
Okay.
And we have to differentiate our product from other people's
Okay.
products because our product contains 0 THC, whereas there are some other products you can extract out the THC in large quantity, but they still keep a small amount. It's called full spectrum. Full spectrum means it contains all of the high stuff. Our product has 0 THC because we extract in such a way we remove it so that we don't have to deal with all of the gray areas of the law and all of the gray areas of the law here in Georgia. We don't have to deal with that. And what research scientists have determined is that it is the CBD that does all of the healing work, not the THC. So we focus on the healing.
Yeah, when we were announcing this and about you coming in the studio, we were nervous. We have the officials in here, but it certainly amongst the building, it created a lot of buzz.
Sure.
sorry. I was holding out on that for a while. Yeah,
love that.
a lot of buzz in the
Nice pun.
studio here. Yeah, so it's almost a little bit analogous to iced coffee versus cold brew, right? Because iced coffee has most of the caffeine still in there. Cold brew eliminates, if not most of the caffeine, or not the caffeine, but the the acid level,
Acid,
right?
yes.
Which is the pH balance,
pH balance.
right? Okay, so meanwhile, so talk to us about this fully traceable from seed to oil. So your process, it's made in small batches by artisans here in Georgia.
Right.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, the beautiful thing about it is I lived in Atlanta for almost 30 years.
Okay.
And I moved out west, and I am between Nevada and Georgia now. I have a home in Las Vegas. So while in Vegas for the past 3 years, I started learning and studying this entire industry and CBD specifically. And the things I learned just blew my mind. So in essence, what we do is we brought everything here to Georgia because we felt this was home and we wanted to bring this miraculous piece to us here in Georgia. So we grow things in Colorado because we have the farms there where we can legally grow on FDA approved or FDA oversighted farms. They regulate the amount of THC that is grown in the product that we develop. So those farms we grow, we extract in Colorado just because of legalities.
Right,
we just
exactly,
cannot do that here in Georgia.
Not yet.
Not yet. And I don't know how close we are either.
Yeah.
But I hope very close.
That was my next question. Any indication on that, or
Well, yes. As the Farm Bill of 2018 passed,
Right.
that essentially made it legal to grow on a federal level hemp or so-called medicinal marijuana. You can grow it now on a federal level. It's deregulated at that level. However, every state still gets to choose. States still have rights, so they get to choose whether they want to do this or not, or allow it or not in their state. And so unanimously in December, the state of Georgia, our legislators here, led by our Republican Party here in Georgia, decided unanimously that we're going to grow it here in Georgia. Wow. Now it's just a matter of getting it done now.
Yeah.
So that happened in December.
Well, Georgia's a great place to do business. And we've heard
yes,
that for quite
it
a while,
is.
so it's even better now for CBD. Huh?
Homegrown, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
homegrown CBD, we saw a lot of the run-up before we got to that great vote to allow us to do this in the state to how it medicinally performs, and talk about
Yes.
some of the ways that you've seen some changes. Obviously, in a number of years you've been working, going away and coming back
Yes.
You've probably got some great stories. Share a little bit about the true benefits you've seen.
The true benefits I've seen myself personally, female issues, uterine fibroid tumors, things like that, tumors and cysts. I've seen those things shrink personally. I've had fibroids to shrink personally. Just in the 6 months that we have been introducing our product to this market, I get testimonies and people all the time. And, we have to be very careful with those kinds of things. But a person's testimony is still their testimony. They can say that. There's no law against that.
Right.
And people post on our Instagram and Facebook pages all the time the benefit that they have seen. For example, ADHD, children with ADHD. I have a family member that's a prime example. I mean, we got John in the studio. John functions extremely
Shout out to John.
well with CBD, our CBD specifically. People who are dealing with some very serious cancers. We have one of our employees, her sister, had a terminal form of cancer. Now, she has succumbed to the disease, but she was unresponsive to every medication that they had given her, and they could not even move her body. She fell sick down in Florida, and they were trying to move her to hospice in Maryland, and they could not get her to respond or do anything.
Wow.
They started her on our specific CBD product. We create a custom blend in situations like that. It's not something that's on our website.
Right.
It's something we make specifically for that situation. And they got her conscious and awake and up and moving around enough to be able to make the trip so she could be around her family. She was in a very grave situation, as it were. But the family thanks us for at least making it possible for her to get home so that she could see them. So I've seen some miraculous things happen.
Well, even for one that's just sensitive to everybody right now in the news is PTSD and all types of depression and anxiety amongst adults.
We have a specific blend just for that. And, I mean, it's our best-selling oil now. It's our depression detox, and we can't keep it stocked because we blend it with 2 herbs that help with depression. So the CBD blended with ashwagandha and turmeric. They have created some miraculous things. I've seen people get off of medication in the 6 months that we've been doing
Well, you've got some new wonder drugs in. What about that you can't say all this is for real, but they are testimonies. So we've got a lot of things going on in our state, and we'll have more the next year.
Absolutely. We hope so.
Legislation roll across. Rich?
Yeah, so while we're talking about the health benefits, I'm looking at your info here about specifically one of your best-selling is actually the oil itself. We're going to talk about being infused in other products. We just mentioned the depression detox. Talks about you have 3 other items, it looks like. The mindful maintenance.
Yes.
What does that, who does that appeal to, or where's the placement there?
That's for someone just starting with CBD. Someone who wants to just have a balance and a relaxation to their day. Someone who may not be dealing with anything really health related, other than the fact they're dealing with Atlanta traffic and stress from work.
Hello.
Which is a big deal in our city.
Yeah.
If you want to be able to drive in this traffic and not fuss somebody out and just be able to do it with a peace of mind and stress-free, that mindful maintenance works every time.
Can we put that in a drip as we drive through traffic?
That's probably a good idea.
Well, it's interesting because Michael and I were just at an event for the NSA National Speakers Association, and one of the several of the speakers were talking about health and not just the new year, but and one of the things that comes to mind is a person that spoke about brain power, what you need to do for a healthier brain. And the first item on the list, because they did the acronym and spelled it out, brain, first for the B was be still. That's a challenge for a lot of people, right?
Yes.
And I think this mindful maintenance, because I'm reading about it creates a sense of calm and quiet to your day.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's caffeine. People drink so much caffeine, you get kind of jittery. I mean, there's actually a store here in Buckhead called Jittery Joe's.
Jittery Joe's.
Yes, I know.
They're
about
selling
Jittery
lots
Joe's.
of that stuff. There's lots
so
of that
maybe
stuff.
this is to counteract some of that. But regardless of coffee or caffeine, the buzzwords that you have on this for this, the awaken your creativity.
Yes.
And a big thing is this is jumping off the page too, is restful sleep. In health, a lot of people they think about what you eat, the exercise and so forth, but should be near the top of the list, if not the top, is getting a restful night's sleep, because that's when your brain rebuilds itself. right?
Absolutely.
During that period. So is this something that people could take in the evening as they're quieting down?
Yes, you can take it throughout the day, but certainly in the evening, you will get a restful night's sleep. It will help you. You take it 30 minutes before you're ready to go to bed. It is a healthy alternative to other things that you could take.
You see some of these commercials and no thank you on all of the symptoms or whatever, the side effects or whatever, right?
Yes.
You know, but sometimes we're
craziness.
so wired during the day, it's hard to kind of, when you lay your head down, your mind's still spinning, right?
Yes, it is.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the 30 minutes before you go to bed. You know, I've noticed most of your products are put in bottles with what we call medicine droppers.
Yes,
so
they are.
What's the dosage, and how would you do it during the day? Give us a life in the use of a day in the life of a CBD user that's successful.
We recommend when you first start taking any of our products, no matter the strength, that you get it in your system, because you want to activate the system in the body that is responsive to it, called the endocannabinoid system, which is an entirely new system founded 25 years ago.
Oh, really? In our body, they found something new?
They found an entirely new system called the endocannabinoid system, which actually is a driver to all of those other systems in our body, such as the cardiovascular and the reproductive and all of these other systems that we have specialists that work on here in the country, but do not work on the actual endocannabinoid system. So bottom line is the endocannabinoid system is awakened when you start taking CBD, and your body produces CBD. Actually, we produce cannabinoids in our bodies. So it's something that's already in us anyway.
Is that legal?
Yeah. Are we legal?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So what you want to do, starting out, first 2 weeks, you want to take one full dropper, not one drop, one completely full dropper in the morning, in the afternoon, and then at night. That's to get your system activated. Do that for the first 2 weeks, and then you adjust accordingly.
So I'm interested. I've tried to give my children medication before with droppers. So what does one full dropper equal?
One full dropper, depending on which blend you get.
Bigger droppers.
The mindful maintenance is 5 milligrams of CBD. So you're not getting, milligrams. Sorry. It is milligrams, sir. The bottle is milliliters. So it is 5 milligrams of CBD, actual CBD, in that dropper. So it's our lowest dose that you can take. And you can take on a maintenance level 30 milligrams of CBD. So you're not even getting that much when you look at the big picture.
And is this under the tongue, or just wash it down with water? Do you mix it with any drink or anything?
The way we formulate it, you can put it under the tongue sublingually, or you can mix it in food or drink. That's why we use the name Canna Bistro. Let food be your medicine, because it's food. It's
nice,
from a plant.
I like that, yeah.
So your interest in this product came through, did you have some family relation because of your vegan background? How did you really, or just you wanted to be a trendsetter? I think that's probably it, right?
Well, I think part of it is that I like to stay on top of things like that. And I had some of the same impressions of marijuana, so-called marijuana, as a lot of people have because of media. And once I got to the West Coast in Las Vegas and I kind of saw things a little differently, I was like, let me dig a little deeper into this and see what's really going on. And it was really when I found out what our government was doing to us that really piqued my interest. The whole patent on the cannabinoids inside of the plant that the government has without letting the public know, that actually piqued my interest.
There's so many items on the list. We're going to post this all on the show notes in terms of health benefits. We're talking Alzheimer's, strokes, cardiovascular disease, but talks about inflammation, because that's a general topic that permeates and has a ripple effect across all different types of issues we have challenges with, just general inflammation in our bodies, right?
Inflammation is the basis of a lot of disease. And if you get your body to a stable pH state, disease cannot live in the body at a 7.0 or higher pH state. I mean, disease just cannot live in your body at that state. So inflammation is the core solution to solving a lot of diseases, especially diseases like diabetes, which is at its basis based on inflammation in the body. So you can get your system up to a higher pH by taking CBD. You want to take organic CBD because all CBD is not equal. It's not all the same out here. You have some that are synthetic, and you definitely don't want to take something synthetic if you're trying to solve a problem with your health. So taking CBD will help you get your body to a stable pH level, 7.0 or higher in your body, where disease just cannot live in your body.
All right, so we're having a great conversation here. Rich Casanova alongside Michael Moore here on the Co-Founders and Startup podcast. We're having a conversation here today with Swan Simpson. She's one of our neighbors right here in Buckhead. Mid last year, launched a family business. In addition to her background as a self-trained vegetarian, vegan chef, 30 years perfecting whole foods based recipes. Talk to us about that first. Well, actually, and you can find out and connect with her and find out everything you need to know about this topic at just cannabistroatlanta.com.
Yes.
Right? And that's Canna, CANNA, bistroatlanta.com. All right, so we're going to pivot here a little bit to your business model since we are on the Pro Business channel. Talk to us about your online store, and we're going to do a deep dive in that for a second. Before we talk about that, what about alliances or partnerships, chiropractors? Are there other associations that you align with, or does that make sense in terms of, right?
Yes, we have partnered with some fitness centers here.
Okay.
Tada's Fitness over in Decatur is one of our big partners.
Okay.
A lot of yoga studios, we're partnering with them. We're creating additional partnerships this year. We have retail partners like Westview Grocery and Gallery 992 over in the West End. Some of the small local businesses that serve our community here in Atlanta, we partnered with them for our retail products as well as events. We do dope yoga, where it's meditation and CBD involved in that. So
that's different than hot yoga. So now it's dope yoga. Yeah.
Very different than hot yoga. Actually, you won't be as hot, but you will be very calm.
I like that. You might sign me up for that one. Yeah. So talk to us about your customers acquisition. How are you acquiring these customers? What's the balance between these events and meetings and online sales and marketing? Talk to us about some of your business operations.
I love talking about that piece because it still blows my mind. We started in a shared kitchen over on the west side of the city, and we've grown from the shared kitchen to just doing events or pop-up events where we will go in, somebody else is having an event, and they'll invite us out, and we'll pop up, and we'll do smoothies, and we'll do brownies and tonics, and we'll actually do our food products, which are infused with our oils. And that has grown from that. We are in the process of opening our first retail location here in Atlanta as well.
All right.
And in fact, we're opening 2 retail locations. Both of them may open simultaneously as it looks, but we're in the process of opening those.
What part of Atlanta are you scouting out?
The first location is over on the west side because the west
Where it
side
all
has
started.
been very good for us.
Yep.
They've been very good to us over in the West End. And the second location is over in Lithonia, which is also has been very good to us as well.
Nice. When you come to Buckhead, we'll help throw a party for you as well. Yeah.
Well, thank you, because our main office is here. Our incubator is here in Buckhead, which is beautiful as well.
So, what's some pushback or challenges you have with your branding and marketing?
Well, the branding itself has been beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. We love it. People love it. It's the thing that gets people talking about what we do. The biggest pushback we get is educating people.
Right, yeah.
I have a sales team that I brought on a couple of months ago, and their big pushback from the retail side, and we have some you asked about chiropractors.
Right.
We have some chiropractors that we're going to roll out. We have relationships we've already solidified with them, but we're going to roll those out when they're ready for us to make that public. So a lot of people are still dealing with the stigma of what is CBD, what is marijuana, what's legal here in Georgia, how you guys do this. Our sales team and myself, we face this every single day. People wanting to know, is this legal? How are you doing this here in Georgia?
Right.
You guys have been doing this for 6 months. Was it illegal 6 months ago when you started? So that is our biggest pushback, educating and advocating.
Okay, so now talk about, in terms of your business model, your online sales. How are you either driving traffic there? Are you then shipping the product?
We have been, everything has kind of grown organically. We send everybody to our website. So our online sales, we are driving traffic to the website. We drive traffic there. People purchase our products and our oils primarily there. Our food stuff we can ship also from there. We drive people to our website and our Instagram page from all of our pop-up events. That's how people continue to stay in touch with us, because we may not be at the same place the next time, the next month, or the next week. So we always get people on our Instagram page, and people find us on Instagram and reach out to us all the time from all over the country. So we drive a lot of traffic to our Instagram page and ultimately to our website, where we have our connection and engagement.
What about farmers markets?
Farmers markets, you have some of the
big... It's tough to get into those, right? But
we found it very difficult to get into some of the farmers markets, just because a lot of them are dominated by people who've been in this space in terms of Atlanta for years, but no CBD at some of the farmers markets. Yeah,
and most of the farmers markets they offer exclusivity, right? Where there's only one of a certain type of food or element, right? All right, so talk to us about now, beyond Atlanta, you have a partnership and a retail partners in South Carolina. Give a shout out to those guys. How'd that come about?
Yes, a shout out to Anytime Fitness. Same way, they found us on Instagram. We're going to be doing a big event in Greenville. Is it Greenville or Greenwood? I think it's Greenwood.
It's all green in your business.
It's green something, yes. Over to South Carolina.
Michael's like rubbing his head. He made some. I think I'm giving a little bit of a brain
too funny
challenge here. Yeah.
But yes, Anytime Fitness is our partner over there. One of our partners. But
now,
we're working
Anytime
on
Fitness, that's a franchise, isn't it?
It is.
So what about invite to Anytime Fitness in Atlanta? Or across the country?
We invite them all, including Planet Fitness, which we tried to have a conversation with. Again, people are just...
It's that corporate and that pushback is,
pushback.
Well, now, you're an expert at this stuff. You've been working on it for a while. You went out west. You got a little better at it. You figured it out. You see the magic. Talk to us a little bit about the industrial process. You're really doing something that's a manufacturing process to check potency, quality, quantity.
Yes.
And you super mix stuff. So
yes. We use a process called Supercritical CO2. In short, what that means is we extract all of the CBD and the THC out of the cannabis plant using vaporization, water. So we don't add any solvents or chemicals or anything into the product during the process. Now, in contrast, a lot of manufacturers or growers, they use butane, which is cheap, but you add butane to the product. But supercritical CO2 is extremely expensive, but it keeps our product's integrity. And after we do the extraction out of the plant, we do the separation of the THC and the CBD. And then from there, we do third-party lab testing so that we can demonstrate the potency as well as the purity. So you can see that it contains 0, not 0.0 and 1, but 0 THC, as well as how it is completely potent in itself.
So truly THC free.
It is THC free. And it is not the guideline THC, because there's a guideline where you can say no THC. But no, this truly has 0 THC. And it's very important, because if you have a certain amount of THC, even a low amount, you still can test positive on a drug screen if that's important to you.
So before we move to this university and the private dining experience, a little bit more on your product. So I'm looking at some of your promotional items here, and so talk to us about some of the. We mentioned the hottest selling is actually the actual oil itself, right?
Right.
But in addition to that, the infused, from your chef's experience, these Colorado grown, right? But vegan wines. Yes.
Yes.
CBD lemonade. Yes.
Yes. All of that's
Tonics
part
and
of what we do.
cocktails?
Yes.
It's Sunday brunch, man. You heard the story earlier.
Right.
We got a Sunday brunch also.
And I'm quoting right here. And don't forget Mama T's Big A brownie. Which,
yes.
Finally, we get to open this.
the brownie.
Yes,
Brownie.
What? Yeah.
I wish you had a fork. We must have left the fork in the car.
Well, we're going to get
we'll
some
get
after
some
the
forks
show.
in
Yeah,
there.
we've got a whole kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
you
divvy this
taste
up.
that and tell me how that is for you.
That looks like pretty good stuff there.
Yeah, we make that from scratch.
If I eat this whole brownie, I'm going to be asleep for a week here, or how does that work out?
No, the entire brownie has 10 milligrams of CBD in it. We infuse it with moonshine, Tennessee moonshine. It is made with organic chocolates and organic butters and organic sugars and organic everything.
Did you say Tennessee moonshine?
Yes, this is my great-grandmother's recipe. That's who Mama T is. Mama T is
okay.
my great-grandmother. She has since passed on, but she left her recipes behind. She was an amazing baker.
Right.
And I loved her desserts. So I said, when I open up a restaurant or food-based business, I am definitely going to put her recipe and namesake on the menu. So I did my own little twist, but this is a Southern brownie because I'm from the South.
Yeah.
So this is a good Southern brownie. And everybody has the same response. So we'll see if your reaction is the same as everyone else's.
I'm pretty confident it will be. So talk to us about two things in terms of product before we move on. So what products have you experimented that just was a flop, didn't work? And what's on the horizon, or what's can you give us a scoop of some experimental ones you're working on?
Yes. Experimentally.
No, we got to flop first. Yeah,
Well, of course.
Flop and then we'll flip,
The flop was our infusion blend that we were working on for restaurants to do wine and cocktails themselves.
Okay.
The reason I say it was a flop is because we could not get the oil to properly dissolve into the liquid. So we went to creating or deconstructing the chemical makeup of the CBD to a water-soluble form. And so we've gotten that worked out now. So we're going to introduce that into the Atlanta market where restaurant owners and bars and nightclubs can actually add CBD to their menu using our product.
We got to get the money in early on this, whatever. Right? We're gonna, don't release this podcast until we get the our lawyer to draw up the documents for the investment opportunity here.
Right.
Yeah,
This is amazing when you think about the impact of just changing people's attitude about their daily activities.
Yes.
It's going to make a difference for some restaurant owners, I'm sure.
Yes, that's the whole
And some bars
idea.
and some
talk about
nightclubs.
margins. Yeah,
That's the whole idea.
now,
Not to mention Fridays will have a whole new perspective.
talk about a happy
And maybe,
hour.
Mon-
Yeah, it's
maybe Mondays too will have a whole new perspective.
Tuesdays and
Get them down to
Wednesdays.
Sunday
Every hour
Sunday
is a happy
brunch.
hour, yeah.
Get them down to Sunday brunch.
So now talk to us about any experimentation with coffee or beer.
Yes, we're doing that now. This same formula that flopped initially,
Right.
we have fixed and perfected it.
Right.
And we have two different blends. They are going to be called our Hypnotic Elixirs.
Okay.
And they are just for coffees, teas, wines, cocktails, beers, liquor. You can infuse, and it will just blend in perfectly.
So you just add a drip to your drip coffee, then, yeah.
You just add a drip.
Add a drip.
Yes.
Or
Add
two,
a
yeah.
drip.
But how is that going to? I don't want we spend too much time on this, but will that change the flavor and the dynamic of the coffee? And do you have challenges with the heat?
We are using an emulsified MCT,
Okay.
which is a medium chain triglyceride, which is ergo coconut oil.
Okay.
All of the healthy pieces of the coconut oil, and we're using an emulsified version. So if you know chemistry, you mix emulsification with something solid, it keeps it liquid. So we'll blend that with our CBD. You drop it in your coffee. We have a vanilla flavor. You drop it in your coffee. It adds a vanilla burst of CBD, and everything else, it's flavorless. But it will dissolve and blend in nicely just for you with your cocktail and your Coca-Colas.
Okay, we're going to either sell all of our podcast studios and invest in this, or as Foster was saying earlier, he wants to get in on this. Foster was talking before the show, is like, Rich, you need to have a conversation.
We
off air
are
or on
definitely
air.
open to investors right now.
Okay, Foster's in. Yeah, he's
Okay.
got his name on the list.
Come
yeah.
on down.
So we don't want to get too many people to jump on this, but has that been a conversation you've had with people, or what are you thinking in terms of bringing on either debt equity or investors or crowdfunding? Have you experimented with any, or is this all bootstrapped? Or
this has been all bootstrapped. And about 2 weeks ago, I woke up and said, hey, why don't we just see if we can find some investors? Because we have some great stuff going on here. And people have been reaching out to us since we started that process.
Well, before we met and had this conversation, I thought, we've seen the horizon of this, or the evolution of where this is going, and I've thought, there's got to be an opportunity here, just in terms of content for podcasting. I tried to actually buy the domain name. We're doing a podcast, but what if we called it a potcast?
I like that.
Yeah. But that was already taken, so someone's onto that. But we'll figure out another version of that. But there are beer on the market, right? There's beer on the market right now that is that has it infused, right?
There are a couple of beers, IPA type beers,
right,
and there are some alcohols. There's liquor and vodka that's infused because of different laws that has not spread. But due to the change in the federal law, alcohol will change.
Absolutely, like it did in Prohibition, right?
Absolutely.
People are going to make their families' fortues in this.
Absolutely.
Yes or yes?
Yes and yes.
I'm getting head nods all the way around.
Yes.
Family needs a new fortune. Let's work on it.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay, we got a few more minutes left here. Let's kind of rapid fire a little bit and give a teaser maybe for an upcoming episode. All right? We just got it invited back.
Oh, wow.
I don't know
Thank
if
you.
You noticed that or not, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this Canna Bistro University.
That's where we're going to put our knowledge base. Okay. We're going to have courses where you can learn how to infuse products at home. You can learn how to use our products at home yourself. We're going to also teach people on the endocannabinoid system. I am in the process of training and being certified by Technion University, which is over in Israel.
Okay.
That's where a lot of this started.
Is it? Yeah.
So I am getting the hands-on teaching approach on how to manage pain, certification in pain management using cannabis. And I am learning a lot about our opioid crisis that is mind-blowing that we have here. And I'm hoping that educational process will help me heal and help as many people and my neighbors as we can in this country as well. So we're going to add all of that to Canna Bistro University. So the wealth of knowledge that I have obtained, we're going to create an entire learning and e-learning platform so you can obtain such knowledge for yourself as well.
Smart for the e-learning to generate that residual ongoing
absolutely
revenue subscription. And the master class kind of premise, right, to roll that out as part of the university experience. Rewind just for a second. We talked earlier about events. What type of events are you wanting to be involved in that makes sense? Either you've done in the past, or you want to, if you had opportunity to do a shout out or to an invitation to, what would be a sweet spot for a type of event to be involved in?
We would love to do a large cannabis trade show or expo, just to be an invited guest and to do a cooking demonstration there. We'd love to do that, or a smoothie demonstration there as well, because there's a trick to infusing drinks and smoothies. So we'd love to do that. We'd love to be involved in any local festivals. There are some pretty big festivals like the Dogwood Festival here in Atlanta. There are so many things we'd love to be a part of, but like I said, we've been bootstrapping along the way. It's just time to go to the next level for us.
We were just at a luncheon for the Buckhead Business Association earlier, and they made the announcement of the taste of the NFL.
Yes.
For the big game, for legal reasons, we can't call it by the name, but we all know when we say the big game. Right?
The big game.
It's a special Sunday. That's
Go Patriots.
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay. Easy there, whatever. Yeah. You just got uninvited to the next episode. Yeah. You really rolled the dice on that one there. Yeah. Okay. So I love that idea of an expo, the Canna show, whatever, right? So our last topic, and before we get into this, once again, you're listening to the Co-Founders and Startup Podcast on the Pro Business Channel Networks with Rich Casanova alongside Michael Moore, having a conversation with Swan Simpson. She is the founder, co-founder, and behind this brand called the Canna Bistro. It's an incubator. You can come and visit them and by appointment. kind of get your hands on the product, have a conversation, maybe some of their pop-up events. But their main platform is the online where you can find out more and make your purchases, and that's at cannabistroatlanta.com. All right, so our last topic talks about this private member dining experience.
Oh, I love those. We had our first one, I think it was late November, right after Thanksgiving. And you go to our website and you sign up and you become a private member. There's no cost. So you just
I did sign up for that. You got my on my newsletter list over
Yes, we put you on the list for an invite. And we are going to do them once a month starting next month, excuse me. And what they are is we have 4 to 5 course dinners that are completely made by hand myself. Everything I use is organic and sustainably obtained. And we infuse everything with our CBD oil. So you get to have wines, you get to have cocktails, appetizers, salads, baked salmon. I mean, I make a perfect salmon, and I use vegan, vegetarian, and pescatarian. So I don't do any beef or pork, anything like
Presbyterian?
that. We welcome those as well.
Right.
Pescatarian.
What's that?
Seafood.
Okay.
Seafood. So vegan, vegetarian, and seafood items and fish items. And then we do amazing desserts. Of course, our brownie is always front and center as well. But we do those dinners, and to get on that list, you go to our website and get on the list, and we invite you out. And they are at different times during different months.
Yeah. And that's happening here in our hometown, Atlanta, but also you're rolling out this in Charlotte and D.C.
Yes.
I imagine South Carolina, right?
Well, we're going to be doing one in South Carolina next month, actually.
Nice. Well, call me when Hawaii gets on the map. All right. So as you were talking, I was thinking about, we just had on Franchise Business Radio the CEO and president for Chicken Salad Chick.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm thinking, and what was cool about them, they had all of their different variations out, but all of them had a name, like a family name or a person that was behind that those ingredients or that item.
Yes.
So have you ever thought about with some of your products rolling out, allowing people for naming rights? Right. So it would be the Michael Moore's.
I think she's
Canna
already
oil?
sold one of those to Grandma here on the brownies.
I got my great grandmother up.
She can pick.
I got
those.
a few people up.
Your best customers can be rewarded, right? So
Yes,
buy
they
more.
can. Yes, I got you.
Yeah. Or you could do like a vote. Put your name up there and see how many by vote, meaning how many they purchase.
I like that idea.
And then if they purchase it enough, then it stays on for 6 months or whatever.
I like that.
We'll
Let's
talk
try
after
that.
the air. Yeah. All right. So I believe we've covered, as a friend says, the sponge is full.
I
Right?
like that.
So we're coming to the end of our show. So one more time, Swan, if you give a little your elevator pitch, if you will, for people that are just maybe tuning in, or as a wrap up, give some of your best selling points and call to action.
Canna Bistro. We are a manufacturer of CBD oils and CBD infused eats and treats. Our whole entire philosophy is let food be your medicine. Our mission is to lead the world to wellness, one bite at a time. So our product is made for you to consume and eat every single day. It's designed that way. You can follow us on Instagram, Canna Bistro Atlanta, spelled all the way out, Atlanta, Canna Bistro Atlanta. You can also go to our website, www.cannabistroatlanta.com. Learn all about me, our products, our history, the background, how we grow, how we infuse, how we extract, and how you can order.
Well said.
Thank you.
And on that note, on behalf of the infamous Michael Moore as co-host for this episode, and Foster Riggs, our engineer in our studio, I'm Rich Casanova, signing off for another episode of the Co-Founders and Startup Podcast.